Thank you for joining us as part of Ballymoney Spring Fair. My name is Kerry McLean, and together we're going to take a look at Ballymoney and how it's celebrated many family fairs and events through the years. We'll also visit local farms and agricultural providers. The town we all know and recognise is actually one of the oldest settlements in Ireland. The original town lay at the Great Mound beside the River Bann near the present-day Agivy Bridge, which was home to a local Celtic king and a place where the river could be crossed. Known as the Enoch Cross, it was also a place where fairs were held and was described by a Celtic bard in 941 AD as not more delightful to be in paradise. Well, while we aren't going this far back in time, it is worth noting that even more than 1,000 years ago, fairs were taking place in the area. People moved away from the river and Ballymoney developed into the location we now all know. It was a settlement around two Celtic forts, with the Normans building a fortified house on one, around which the town developed as a route centre and market town. Our oldest standing building is the Old Church Tower, dated 1637. In early 1642, the church beside it, along with much of the town itself, was burned during the Irish Rebellion, but in later years was rebuilt and the town continued to grow. 1777 saw Ballymoney First Presbyterian Church built, our oldest building still in use, located on Meeting House Street, as it's now known, with the road taking its name from the Ulster Scots word meeting house. This year's fair may be very different to any ever held before, but fairs and festivals in Ballymoney have been a regular feature throughout its history. There have always been markets of one kind or another in Ballymoney. In the 19th century, farming and the linen industry helped to make us one of the most prosperous market towns in Ulster. On market days, the town was packed with people. Produce was sold from stalls that lined the streets and also from what is now the Masonic Hall, which was the former town hall, and this is where goods would have been purchased from. Every Thursday, grain, oatmeal, fish, potatoes, turf, pig carcasses, butter, crockery and more were sold at the market. The cattle market was held twice a month and the grain market 3 times a week. In 1835, it was moved from the streets around the Diamond and into the market yard on Market Street. Today, the town holds artisan markets which showcase local produce and handmade crafts using traditional skills passed down through generations, from bakers to woodturners. Locally sourced farm produce is still sold on market days, satisfying many a local's taste buds. Fairs were held in May and November for the hiring of labourers and domestic staff. Those looking for work were hired for up to 6 months, and they were provided with lodgings and meals. We turn our attention now to past fairs and events, with the following being one of the earliest from which we've got some moving images. Back in 1951, Her Excellency the Countess Granville, sister of Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, came to open the Festival of Britain in Ballymoney. Sir Basil Brooke opened the new Rural Council offices in Charles Street called Riata House, which are still occupied by the council today. As a market town, agriculture and pets featured heavily, and everyone in the town came out to enjoy the splendour of the parade, with these shots taken near the ballpark. As seen from the clip, 70 years ago, horses featured as a method of transport, but this has changed, with motor cars now the preferred form to be used, some of which we shall see later on. Today, the equestrian centres are more about leisure and enjoyment. We're fortunate to have the Riding for the Disabled Association on our doorstep for over 40 years, based at Castle Row. The RDA is an inclusive and diverse organisation, welcoming clients with physical or learning disability and providing an avenue to improve mental health. This provides therapy, fitness and skills opportunities which otherwise the clients would be unable to avail of. The clip demonstrates the work and efforts of many volunteers who deliver the services and look after the animal welfare of these fantastic horses. Regardless of ability, they welcome everyone to have access and enjoy horse riding. While everyone loves the horses, there's a lot of preparation work to be carried out before entering the arena. The stables need mucked out and clean shavings put in, a necessary job that no one particularly likes. Alongside the many volunteers, students from CAFRA groom the horses and perform daily visual welfare checks. They also tag up each horse with its saddle, reins and bridle before starting to exercise, so that they're warmed up and ready when clients come in. In the arena, the horses are tested over a number of jumps to maintain their fitness. The mini Shetland ponies also make a feature and are a recent addition to the RDA. They're being trained as therapy ponies as a new service. The RDA have featured in recent years at the Spring Fair in Ballymoney, and it's great to have a look behind the scenes of what goes on daily within this magnificent organisation. Family fun was so much different back when this was filmed in the 70s. Music still featured in the High Street while Ballymoney superstars took place. Today, families still flock into Ballymoney for all the fun of the fair. What they dress up as may be different, but it's still the same good, clean fun. We don't have the beautiful gardens that we see here at Ishland, but instead today we have beautiful beds and baskets maintained by the wonderful gardeners employed by the council. The spring flowers help to herald that winter is over and the days are getting longer and warmer. And we even have a wedding or two still on horse and carriage. Community Week in 1982, nearly 40 years ago now, highlighted some of our sporting amenities in the town, while the Riada Recreational Centre was in full swing with activities including archery and some water games. Health and safety was obviously very different back then. The cavalcade of cars always draws a big crowd. Some of the cars that were being paraded here in the 1980s are still being paraded today. The owners of these cars put so much work into them and quite rightly are proud to show them off. Now I wondered, did this driver pass their safety awareness driving test? Ballymoney Marathon, or Ballymoney 5 Mile Road Race as we would know it now, has always attracted a large number of participants. The main parade still follows the same route around the town, with High Street a main focal point for many spectators, which has always been awash with colour during recent spring fairs. The presence of BBC Radio Ulster coming to the town remains as strong a draw to the public as it was when this was recorded. There would have been little to no crowd control back in the day, but then again, we didn't really need it, we're such a friendly bunch. In recent years, Uncle Hugo appeared and entertained the crowd as his predecessors have done before him. Music is a huge part of an Ulster Scots town like Ballymoney. There's always been a strong marching band tradition featuring many Ulster Scots instruments, including accordions, flutes, pipes, as well as lambegs and fifes. You would also have folk music that would have been played in the local halls and people's homes, consisting of fiddles, tin whistles, flutes and drums. This would have been very similar to traditional Irish music. These elements are still heavily featured in many streets and local businesses as part of the programme at the Spring Fair. Traditional skills are still being used within the area as we join local farrier Brian Wall as he visits Sheans Horse Farm outside Ballymoney and shows us how to make horseshoes and the art of hot shoeing. Sheans Farm is a horse riding centre which offers a quality experience on one of the most extensive off-road facilities in Ireland. The centre can cater for all levels of riding, regardless of age and ability. Brian Wall is well known in the area for delivering his farrier services, and he's a regular at any horse centre. To begin with, he needs to trim the foot of the horse that the shoe is to go on. He places the handmade shoe inside the fire to prepare for altering. Once it's at the right temperature, Brian alters the shoe on the anvil using hammer and tongs. This method hasn't changed over the years. Burning the shoe onto the horse's foot creates the perfect bond and is then followed by the nailing of the shoe. After the shoe has been nailed, you then clinch the foot. At no point in this process is the horse in any pain or discomfort, and this traditional method is the easiest way to shoe horses. The whole process is then repeated for the other foot which needs shoed. A common sight in days of yore, which is pretty hard to see close up these days, so we were really lucky to have caught Brian while at the farm. The Spring Fair has been established as an annual event, bringing with it a vast array of colour and carnival atmosphere, local razzmatazz along with community and business involvement. As we've seen from our look back, the town has always had fairs and events which bring people from the surrounding area and much further afield into the town for a good day's crack and enjoyment. We all look forward to the terrific variety of sights and sounds each year as we celebrate a great day out for everyone and which showcases the best of what Ballymoney has to offer. The town's always packed with traditional music, contemporary dance, vintage cars, family fun activities and artisan stalls with the finest crafts and food on offer. We always love to finish with the big one, the finale, as the cavalcade of cars and lorries is preceded by a carnival parade through the town centre for all to enjoy. I'm sure you will all agree with me that Ballymoney has much to offer all year round, with independent shops, local eateries and unique boutiques. The town welcomes visitors and residents of the borough to not only explore the shops, but spend time in our local amenities which host many of our well-renowned events and activities. I'm Kerry McLean. Thank you so much for joining me in this look back at Ballymoney's history of festivals, shows and events of days gone by and showcase of agricultural and carnival atmosphere.